What's up, everybody? It's Wednesday here on Hyper RPG, which means it's comic book day.
Yeah.
I'm your Overlord, Zach, and this is on my right.
Or Scott, or whatever I'm being called today.
Yeah, Scott. Your Scott. It's your Scott. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in today to Hyper RPG. It's Wednesday, which is my favorite day of the week because of this giant mass of fucking comics sitting in front of us. Lots of big books coming out today. I'm excited to talk about Civil War 2. Lots of Rebirth books this week.
Yeah, I got Batman, Superman, and Green Arrow from the Rebirth, and Green Lanterns.
I didn't get to read any of them. Carbaka, thank you for resubscribing. Yeah, I didn't get to read any of the Rebirth books. I barely got through some of the books I wanted to read. Really excited, though, Nowhere Man number 10, which is one of my favorite books of all time. The Goddamned, I read that one. Oh, so good. Brutal as shit. So we're going to get into all those today. All sorts of exciting stuff to talk about. We do not have an interview this week. We had, unfortunately, some problems locking somebody, so we'll work on getting one for next week. But let's think forward. Moving forward. Not going to focus on the fact that I didn't get somebody today. But welcome. It's Wednesday, so that means that we got to also talk about all the other stuff coming up on the show later and remind you guys that we as a channel exist because of you and your contributions, your follows, your subscriptions, your donations, all of those things that you do keep us alive, keep this channel moving forward. We couldn't do it without you. So thank you guys so much for tuning in today and for all your contributions. And because of that, we've lowered the bar today. The bar is lowered down to $5 to troll us, to interrupt us, and to help keep this channel alive. And so thank you guys for doing that, showing up every day and arguing comic books with us.
I like doing that.
Yeah. So Geiky says, you guys can talk comics for 2 hours, no problem. Yeah, definitely. We were talking before the show started. We were having a good conversation before the show started, and I'm like, oh, shit.
That's enough time to just get, started. Like, two hours, we could begin to have a conversation.
Yeah, we'll just get through half of Civil War 2.
Especially because I just finished Act 2 of Valiant Comics, so we've got all that stuff, too.
Right. See, Scott is currently reading through all of the Valiant comic books because...
So worth it. But also because we've got Valiant Vanguard.
Vanquished.
You're
fired.
I'm out of here. Bye.
You're fired. Get the fuck out. It's on the schedule that I haven't made yet. It was on the waiting screen.
Vanquished. Coming to Hyper RPG this Monday.
Yeah.
And, shit, it's exciting.
Yeah, I've been reading up on these. We've got the Valiant Universe Core Rulebook and a new one that hasn't come out yet that I'm privy to that no one else is. Transcendence Edge takes place in San Francisco, which I might make your first campaign take place in San Francisco because there's some cool stuff in here that would be really neat to use. I haven't decided yet, but I will be GMing the new Valiant show. We're going to be shooting a video this week to hopefully show you next Monday that gives you a quick rundown of the Valiant universe. I'm going to ask, you want to help me with that?
Yeah.
Because you've been reading through everything,
yeah,
and you're like our other comic book guy. We should do that.
It's all fresh in my head, so I should get it
all
out before it all leaves.
I'm not super fresh to because it was about. I started reading in 2012, and I've just been going with it as it goes. So there is stuff from like 4 years ago. That I'm like, ah, shit, like, what happened in the faraway? Like, I know there was the cult that worshipped Archer, and there was some other shit, and Anna Maria shows up, and fuck,
yeah, lots of stuff.
I know, like, Armstrong screws somebody because that happens everywhere, but,
Basically his thing. So, yeah, we're going to have to go through the last 4 years of Valiant and figure out how best to get you all to speed.
We should do it in the acts, right? Because there are kind of, like, acts.
That's a good
divided,
point. It is divided. I think we're in Act 5 now.
Right, yeah. So we could do, like, this is what happens in Act 1. We should set up, like, what kind of...
Harbinger Wars, and there's Unity in the Hardcore.
Right.
There's Armor Hunters, there's...
And then we've got the Book of Death. And then this summer we've got 4001 AD, which really doesn't tie into...
the future. It's different.
It's the future. So it doesn't really matter. Wait, Zach has time to GM a show? No, but one of the great things about the Valiant Universe role-playing game is it's kind of a free-form RPG in some ways. There are rules. There are basic kind of, when you roll the die and for what. We're going to be playing it a little differently than how the book has you do it. The book has it to where every player is a GM, and you switch narrator spots. So it's kind of like group improvisational storytelling, but that doesn't really work for Twitch. So I'll be GMing, and we have our 5 players. We're up to 5 now. We can announce that we're up to 5. We did lock someone that we were trying to lock. Her name is Tara. Tara Clark. She is a member of the... Geek Girl Con. She works for them. She also works for King Games, and she was on our charity drive on the last day for a little bit. She has a full-time job, but she's a huge Valiant fan. She grew up reading Valiant with her father, and she's
OG Valiant.
She's OG Valiant, and she hasn't dove too much into the new universe, but she's OG Valiant, loves Valiant, and is excited to be on the show. We've got all our characters figured out. We've got an artist working on our like character art and all that good stuff to start off the show right. But we still have a lot to figure out. I've got like a meeting with Catalyst this week.
Excited. I feel like this is gonna end up with me having to build my own like robot arm thing.
Yes. They don't know it. They don't know your powers yet.
What?
Did we didn't tell them your powers, did we?
No robot arm.
We didn't. I think. Did we tell them? I don't remember.
I don't know.
I don't know. Monday the art will be done.
But yeah, I mean it's really exciting. The characters that we've built are really neat. And like they're all cool because all you really need is like a few trades into the Valiant universe to understand where they all come from. Because they're all really basic concepts from Valiant, but they all, it's still all going to fit into today in the Valiant universe. But you don't need to be reading up to today to understand our story.
Now our story is going to be set in the current timeline, which means Toyo Harada has a nation off of the coast of Africa. Psyots are now publicly known, and there's a list of them that's floating around that was released by Peter when he took down the Harbinger Foundation. So that's the world we live in. That will affect how things happen in game and how the world reacts to you guys, but you don't need to know. We'll cover all that in the video. We'll do a video rundown this week. Get it ready by Monday.
And that's kind of the only real big plot point.
We'll get it ready by Monday. We'll get it ready by Monday.
The only real big plot point is like Harada, basically that there's before superpowers in the universe are public, and there's after superpowers in the universe are public. And that's
this
really
isn't
like
too
the
long
only
Mexico
big,
City gets leveled
yeah,
too.
So this isn't like that's really the only big spoiler plot point is people find out.
Thank you for the resubscribe, Zanzibar. Thank you for resubscribing. Oh man, I gotta breathe a little bit, because just saying I'm gonna have that ready by Monday and be ready for you guys to play the game, and we need to do a test game probably like Sunday or something like that. And we've got this new overlay we rolled out this week, and I've got a bunch of new videos that we're shooting. We have like a 12 long sheet of videos that we're working on, and I'm supposed to be doing something with Malika for Hyper RPG is now hosting my stream. I think Joe's testing stuff, because that would blow that doesn't make sense.
No.
But anyway, so much to do. I'm about to have a panic attack saying it all out loud, but it's for you guys. We're here for you, okay? And we're going to keep pushing forward. I hope you guys like some of the changes that we've rolled out this week. I like them, so you'll get over it. No, I'm just kidding. We had a lot of complaints, and we wanted to find a merge between the two and all that good stuff. That's really obnoxious.
K-Ken, you asked, so I can enjoy the show without knowing anything.
Yes.
You're gonna want to watch this video that we're making to get a quick grasp. But I mean, it's also the beginning of the show is designed a little bit to be like the first trade of a comic book, where like you're meeting characters and just building the world through references and just getting started. You should be able to figure out where we're going and where we've come from.
Yeah, I think the key thing and why I like this role-playing system is because it's more story-based. It's less rules-based. It's going to be hard for people to come in and rules lawyer, because the rules are kind of made up in the moment for the most part. It's a very freeform RPG, so it's going to be all about character and story, which plays well to me not having much time to pre-prepare, but being able to know that universe really well and work with these guys in an improvisational situation to move the story forward. We are still working on the show, though. Hey, Hyper Rabbit Power, go! Thank you, Binky, for getting this shit started. Guys, let's get a donation train started. We need it. We need it. Let's do this.
This bar is so slow I just tripped over it. Also, this Monday is the new Valiant show. Picnic.
Yes, the show is on Monday, this coming Monday, 6 p.m. We've changed our schedule around this week. We are going to be starting the Paizo show very soon as well. We tested it out last weekend at PaizoCon, so I'll give it 2 or 3 weeks on Tuesday nights. We're going to be revealing that. So, guys, all sorts of changes coming to you, all sorts of exciting stuff to get this summer kicked off right.
It's going to be a good summer.
It's going to be a good fucking summer. We're excited about it. We're really pumped. I hope you guys are enjoying everything that we're doing this week. And like all the changes, we're going to keep rolling out those videos with our cast and crew. We just shot one with Scott. Those 10 questions that we came up with just to give you guys a chance to get to know them a little bit better, because we know some of our hosts are only here like once a week and stuff like that. So we want to give you guys a chance to know them better. And if you have other ideas like that, let us know. You know, like we're always taking feedback on ways to make the channel better. Story-based always draws me to an RPG, says Wilder1251, and me too. That's what locks me in. That's what was fun about producing Critical Role, was the story. When people come in and start arguing about, you can't do that in Dungeons and Dragons because of this dragon has this many hit points and blah, 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 blah. That's how they sounded in my brain, and it would annoy the piss out of me. So we picked a system where you can't really do that. Now, you will have those logical arguments based on, could this character actually go up against this character?
But it's good.
But it's comic books.
And we know that, like, you guys are watching. Like, this is not about, like, oh, I got to build my character up to be super awesome and that'll feel satisfying.
Mm-hmm.
It's about making my character go through the story in a way that's satisfying for everybody watching.
Right.
Which it'll be a lot of fun. It'll be, and you know, like somebody mentioned, and it's gone through the chat now, the rules in any comic book universe are easy to fudge.
Oh, yeah.
Because
it depends on who's writing the rules.
rules.
Hey, Hyper Up Power Go! Let's get those donations rolling. Thank you, Sledger. Thank you so much for that. 111.111. 11.11.
Hashtag Neonet is not afraid to embrace chaos. We would welcome certain overpowered persons joining our ranks to bring on the madness.
Neonet, surprise, I already announced that I've joined your corporation. I just haven't had time this week to get in there and dig around. Robin Fear!
Hello.
When
What the
computer
shit?
welcomes a new thumper.
Robin Fear,
For
thank you for
science.
subscribing. Thank you so much for subscribing. You are now our official deckhand on the starboard side. Deckhand, which is a really important position on the Yojimbo. We need you there. We need you there scrubbing those floors every day. Without it, we could slip and fall, and that would be very dangerous, and then we possibly could lose lots of time and
You're not gonna
manpower.
do it, who is?
Right. Keeping those floors clean. Thank you, Robin Fear, for subscribing. Guys, every 5 subscribers, we do a Steam Key giveaway. I'm not quite sure what our next Steam Key giveaway is, but Ryan can let you know in the chat room. So let's keep that sub train going. Let's keep that donation train going. But speaking of donation trains, I'd rather give you guys something to donate towards. Which is something that we really worked on in the channel. You know, the last couple weeks, I've had to go out to, hey, Hyper Rep Power, go! Great.
Thank you.
Great.
Alex Knight.
Yes, Alex Knight.
Hashtag Fuzzage.
Ha 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 ha.
That was good.
Props to White Wabbit. I'm guessing that was White Wabbit that made that donation, or someone in that general vicinity. I doubt it was actually Alex Knight. Sorry, Alex Knight. And it did say hashtag FU Zach, in case it didn't show up on screen for you guys. But, you know, the last couple weeks, I've had to go to a couple cons. I've spoken on a couple panels, and I had to introduce new people to our content. And one of the most exciting things that I get to explain to people is that on our channel, we give the viewer the power to interact and to be a part of the show. And to not only be a part of the show, but to alter what happens within our own show's universe. And showing them like the Shadowrun metagame, which is mind-blowing. So just a reminder, guys, tonight, all of your donations go towards the metagame that's happening tonight. And if you're watching and you are like, subscribed, because most of you are, most of the people watching the show are subscribed, join our Discord already. Just do it. And once you're in that Discord, join a corporation. You won't regret it, okay? So there's all sorts of things you can do when you join that corporation. I understand that it's a tough thing and some people don't like the pressure, but don't think of it as pressure. Just do it because it's fun. And it's a fun thing to do to get more connected with your local kind of community within the Hyper RPG world. And then you get to do all sorts of fun stuff like Shiawase did last week and bring chaos to the entire fucking universe. Shiawase burned everything last week. They burned it all to the fucking ground.
What'd they do?
They attacked almost everyone that dared speak against them.
Awesome.
And like destroyed a lot of shit. So
No,
kudos to you guys.
They've been talking a lot of shit.
Yeah.
For a long time.
Yeah, but you know, fuck Shiawase.
Now here they are.
I'm gonna head over to Neonet. Neonet's
Now you're
currently
out.
leading the polls this week, so fuck them. I'm heading over there. I don't care. So I'm gonna join Neonet and help take down Shiawase. They've had their time. They're a little too far
time has
up
come.
their own butts. But one of the things that I've liked to explain to people when I'm meeting them at cons and stuff like that, and why our channel is so special, is that that ability to interact in that way. And all streamers, especially companies like this that try to make a living off of it, and we have so many employees, you know, we pay benefits to the people who work here full time. We pay all of our hosts to come out and be on shows. That's expensive. It's really expensive. And it wouldn't exist without you guys' donations, but we understand that whenever you're donating, it's kind of a weird thing just to ask for people to donate. and it does nothing. So we wanted to incorporate systems that make it feel like when you're donating, you're actually being a part of something. So by putting that hashtag of the corporation you're a part of, it makes your donation feel like it's worth more. To be able to spend that donation money on DFA, it supports the channel while also giving you a chance to interact with the shows and affect what's happening on screen in a really unique and cool way, which makes you more ingrained into the content. So that's the kind of stuff we want to do on this channel, because it feels better to us to be giving something back for what you're giving us, rather than just sitting here and making content where we talk to you about comic books and saying we need money to survive, and then you give us something and we go cool thanks and run away. We want it to be that it actually changes what happens on the channel. So speaking of all that, the new DFA pre-purchasables for the battle coming up this week are now online. So we're going to go through those really quick, guys. The internet is loading super slow. Super slow. All right, let's see what we got here. We've got a new skin unlocked for Valravon, $350. You guide the Vikings paintbrush for better or worse, design Val's new paint job, and put your name on Val's griffin. Now, these new paint jobs have been really rad lately. Like, we've got the Neon Cat on the catapult. We added a little bit of, like, rainbow kind of stuff on the griffin. Not on the Griffin, but on the, on Talon's mech. So that stuff's really cool. What's up, AJ? How's it going, buddy? We just talked about the Valiant show. Guys, AJ is going to be on the Valiant show, and he's got a super sick character. We're really excited about it. Keeping Viking employed, $100 to repair all of the Marauders' mechs, and holy shit, do they need it after last week. They got tore up.
It's been a tough couple of weeks for DFA.
Yeah.
They keep getting fucked up.
They keep getting fucked up. Break out the family ride, $100. Now this one's pretty exciting. Lord Mulligan takes the field of battle in his family's atlas, quirks and all. Now if this is not purchased, otherwise he'll be using one of the mechs or the commando, one of the other mechs. So I think this would be a lot of fun to finally get to see what Lord Commander's, the Lord Mulligan, what his family's atlas looks like.
Quirks and all. Makes me very curious.
Yep. Now, see, Lord Mulligan, we've already encountered some stuff here on Lord Mulligan. So this is an older character. Lord Mulligan has taken my place. It was my son. That mech got tore up. Got damaged pretty badly, but he kept it. So now we're going to get to see it again. I'm excited to see what that looks like. That's pretty cool.
That will be very cool.
It's no longer the Snuggle Lord. It was the Snuggle. It's not the Snuggle anymore. It got tore up. That era is over.
Find out for $100.
Yep. The rally the New Abilene Nobles. New Abilene's nobles are still divided. Rally them around the cause for unity. This unlocks additional combined armed forces to support the Marauders during the fight. So support, very much needed. Let's see. Bureaucratic tape, $50. With a well-placed bribe and intimidation, the FWL has leveraged the Senate so that the Marauders must seek Senate approval of their deployment. Ooh, so these are like things that kind of help change the story, which I like. I like the stuff where it changes the story and makes the role-playing think on its feet.
It'll also be really fun when you're watching the show and you're like, all this stuff is happening because I did this one thing. You as the viewer. I made all this bureaucratic tape happen.
Reinforced combat. I canceled Firefly. It is now following. What a dick.
Thank you, I guess.
Yeah, thanks. Jerk. Reinforced combat hydraulics for $100. The FWL Captain Mech may perform a DFA without taking any damage from the crash landing twice before the upgrade breaks down in battle. Holy shit! That's intense.
Ow.
That's really cool. Arslan, that one's got your name on it, man. Entrenched for $100. The FWL infantry build trenches to help defend their base. Mines, we've gone over those before. There's 5 of them available. Anti-personnel mines, 5 of those available as well. Now here's some interesting, everything else on here I really like. This is stuff that kind of shapes the course of the battle. Mud fight. Heavy rains have made the ground soft and muddy. All mechs lose 1 movement and gain 1 less heat each turn, which is pretty cool. Heavy rain, no quick time events, just intense rain and heavy winds. Long range attacks suffer -1 penalty to hit. Also pretty cool. Now this is my favorite one. Nobility complex.
Troll of the week.
The troll of the week. This troll kind of affects how the role players would have to, which I think is fun. I like fucking with the role players. Mm-hmm. Like they get to kind of do their own thing. It's fun to fuck with them a little bit. In order to gain the support of the New Abilene Senate, the Marauders must act. Hey, Hyper Rabbit Power, go! I get it. I'll get through this stuff in a little bit.
This donation is to help mute Zach and let Scott talk. #RipNeonet, #Fuzzitch.
So in that case, the troll of the week. In order to gain the support of the new Abilene Senate, the Marauders must act with all the pomp, pretension, and decorum that they suspect these leaders will appreciate. Even in battle, as the Senate is watching closely, their impressions include enlightened accents, tragic verbosity, and their best attempts to appear less like hardened soldiers and more like your least favorite dinner party guests.
Boom. So they'd have to act like pompous assholes.
That's gonna be awesome.
That would be really fun to see them have to roleplay that way.
They also adopt accents.
I think they should.
I think they should.
They should be British.
At the very least, an affectation. Something that makes them sound like they're a douche.
Right. And here's one more thing I want to do with you guys really quick before we dive into the world of comic books, because once we go there, there's no coming back.
Done.
We are in there for good. Is show you guys the current standings on Shadowrun Corporate War. In case you are not currently in a corporation, you're like, what the fuck is going on?
Neonet crushing it right now.
Neonet is crushing it this week. It's because I joined. It's because I joined. That's why. I publicly announced. I publicly announced I joined Shiawase, and then Shiawase starts winning, and then I publicly announced that I'm joining Neonet, and Neonet just rises to the top. It's crazy how that happens. So the action points going into this week, Neonet at 25. So here's what I would recommend if somebody wants to balance the scales. Seder, Krupp, and Shiawase, you're not too far behind. I would rally if I was you guys. Rally, buy some of those DFA purchasables, and get your points up for this week so you can get some better action points to spend tonight and take away what Neonet might be planning. Like, people forget that there's only a total number of action points that can be distributed. So even if, like, Ares, Aztec, Evo, Wuxing, and Mitsuyama all made donations towards DFA from their corporation, it would take some of that power away from Neonet, just sucking it away from them. It'd be a good plan, just saying.
And giving it to yourself.
Here's our current corporate standings. We have a total of 293 now in our corporate wars, which is really exciting, but we have 212 people in our Discord that have not joined.
Come on, guys.
Unemployed. So guys, join. Just join. Tell a mod in Discord. Just hop in there. Just hop in there. But it's pretty exciting to see Seder Krupp is now killing it with 40 members.
Nice.
Evo not too far behind with 35. Ares with 34. Shiawase lagging in the department of members down at 29. Renraku really needs to get to work, and Horizon.
Horizon, come on.
Guys, come on. Message me later privately, Renraku and Horizon. We might be able to work something out. I am a Space Dragon of Chaos, so you never know. Neonet, look at this buff. Financial buffs. They were really smart with some of their purchasables last week, and they're getting a pretty big buff to their action points. That's interesting. Invest today. Guys, I'm so proud of this.
It's so cool.
This is one of the things I'm most proud of on this channel, guys. Like, our market is so cool. Like, you can buy stuff. Every time I show this to anyone outside of this channel, they go nuts for it. And they're like, you guys have created the coolest fucking thing. And you guys created this. Like,
and you're
members
part
of our chat room made this. And you guys every week have given us feedback to make it better and to keep it growing. Nobody else on Twitch is doing this. No one. This is the coolest shit. Tell your friends about it. If you have friends who are part of, like, role-playing groups and stuff like that and want to be involved with some sort of online role-playing group, that's where this could go. We want this to end up becoming like this cool fucking massive like EVE Online for a meta space, you know, where you guys are bringing people in and having fun and doing new things to troll each other and to create new worlds within this Shadowrun universe. It's so fucking cool.
So as these things grow, because Twitch is on the rise, right? It's still relatively new. You guys are gonna be able to be like, oh man, I played in the first Twitch interactive Discord game, you know, like. There's nothing like this, and we very much could be setting a trend, and you could be part of that. And it's so fucking cool.
I'm anxious to see when Horizon's going to start spending some of their media, or if they're building their media up to the point to buy a commercial. Interesting. I'm trying to remember how much commercials cost. Let's go to media here. 250 billion. They're almost to 100. I wonder if we should ever do like sales, like do special sale weeks.
Not
like,
necessarily a bad idea.
It'd be kind of fun. Just like have 1 week where there's a sale on one category. Like this week, military hardware, 20% off, you know? Or this week, heavy industry. Items. You know, we could find like some role-playing aspect, you know, like military hardware, like, go to war because of all the wars that have been happening. Military hardware is like on the rise. So the cause, demand, supply and demand. Demand is up. Prices go down. Actually, prices would go up if demand was up, but woo. You could be a Twitch hipster. That's right, guys. You could get in first.
Start playing with the market a little bit.
Yeah, playing with the market. Guys, this is so cool, though. Everyone we show this to gets really excited about it. And I've been showing it to Twitch employees, too, and they see it, and they just are like, what the fuck? I had no idea you guys were doing this. That's right. But I think part of the reason people don't know we're doing it is we need to find better ways to get the word out about it. Yeah. And I love that Seder Krupp made a website. That's really cool. We're going to start looking over some of this purchasables because I think we're trying out a bunch of stuff and looking at what works and what doesn't work. And maybe some of the decisions we made have actually hurt the reach of it. So we might go back on some of that stuff. Hyper Rep Power, go! Neonet Welcome Wagon.
Yes.
We at Neonet welcome our new Overlord and support him in his future with Neonet. Hashtag Neonet, hashtag FuAlex.
FuAlex.
Citizen Republic can't do the sales this week because the store closes in 4 hours, and we don't have that kind of time.
No, we're not going to have a sale
that's not
this
gonna
week.
be this week.
No. Oh, somebody said a Twipster. Yeah, you could be a Twipster.
Yeah, absolutely. I played that thing back in the day.
Zach, get a Hyper RPG face tattoo live on stream. People will watch the heck out of that.
I would donate to that.
This is bullshit. That's
Good.
a terrible idea.
I like that
Guys,
one.
Coming up next on the channel, we've got Watching Paint Dry. Today we have Casey Murphy, who's going to be in the house. Now, we met her. Hey, Rathaly, thank you for resubscribing. That's really cool. Those resubs help us a lot. So Casey Murphy, we met her last week at the Power of Play Festival. We're going to show you this quick video of some of her art. She's going to be our guest today on Watching Paint Dry.
It's going to be cool.
Her art is trippy as shit. She worked on a video game that we played there that was intense. So cool. This is the game we played at Power Play, and she did all the art for it. It's so trippy. And it's all hand-drawn, too. It's so cool.
I couldn't play this game because I would be looking at the scenery the whole time. I would just be losing.
It's so weird. Such weird shit shows up in there. I don't know what any of that means, but the game was really fun.
Buddy and the Ghostly Y Phylactery.
It was really fun. So she's going to be our guest on Watching Paint Dry today. Make sure you guys tune in for that. I'm sure Viking Last will have some fun stuff set up for you guys to donate and troll and add stuff to the mix and all that wonderful stuff. So the episode tonight is called Pip Pop Cheerio of Shadowrun. That's going to be interesting.
Cheerio.
After finishing up their run from Mitsuama, Infect go after a long-lost friend of Cromwell. So this is going to be kind of a Cromwell backstory night, which will be interesting.
That'll be fun.
Hopefully you guys stick around for Shadowrun. It's one of my favorite shows on the channel. Again, let your friends know if they like RPGs, they should be watching Hyper RPG because we do cool shit. Just saying. Is it time to talk about the news?
We should talk about the news. No, we should probably talk about because it's comic book day. Is that X-Men movie came out over this past week?
I haven't seen it because
You
I've been
haven't
too
seen it
busy. Alex Fuzzichneet. Alex Fuzzichneet. Great, as it's now following. So one of our followers just made a new account and followed, so we'd say it out loud. And it's not actually a new person that I can be really excited about. Whatever.
Anyway.
So, X-Men.
Yeah. You didn't see it?
But you can ruin it for me.
Well, I mean, I would ruin it for you, but I'm not going to ruin it for them because it's still like I don't know what the rules are for spoilers. Within
You can
a week,
ruin
though,
it for them.
Within a week, I liked it though. I really
Ruin
did.
it for them. I saw your tweet, or I saw your Facebook post that you
Yeah.
really liked it, and I
really
was like,
liked it.
ooh, we're gonna disagree on
And
this.
and I know we are, and I knew that, and I knew that I liked it, and that other people weren't going to. But I've been saying this line a lot with these movies.
Mazukin, thank you for
Mazukin,
following.
thank you, is that I'm a fan and I like to be serviced. And so I don't mind some good fan service.
You like fan service. I myself say that I don't like fan service out loud, but I did know that when I was watching Civil War that Spider-Man was fan service.
That's
100%.
That was all Spider-Man was in that movie was fan service, and it was
Ox
fantastic.
Green Hero is now following. Thank you for the follow. Hello.
But no, I'm not going to spoil X-Men for you guys.
Okay, fine. You're not going to spoil X-Men.
Because to me, there were a lot of things that I didn't necessarily think I was going to see, and I did. And
did you see character development?
It made me yes.
Really?
Yes. Not a ton, because there's only a bunch of new characters, but a little bit. I definitely really felt like I got a lot of Scott. I love Scott Summers, and I felt like I.
You like Scott Summers?
I do.
Man, I'm gonna have so much fun with you on this Valiant RPG.
Nobody likes Scott Summers.
Leonardo, your favorite Ninja Turtle?
I never got into Ninja Turtles.
Ling Ting Ping is now following. Hello.
No, I like Scott Summers. Part of it is that
BlindXCat99 is now following. Hello. Thank you all the
Welcome,
new followers.
everybody.
Thank you.
I love Scott Summers, and a big part of that is that my favorite X-Men will always be Grant Morrison's X-Men.
Okay.
And
New X-Men.
He did
like
a
Grant
fantastic journey with Scott in that.
That he did. He did.
But I love Scott Summers.
Okay.
There's not that many superheroes named Scott.
I'm learning so much about how your character needs to work within our Valiant show just from this conversation. Basically, you're gonna be a dick.
I'm okay with that. I just love.
We're gonna do the right
superheroes.
thing. And then you're gonna get on your. You're gonna get on your high horse and be like, guys, I know what's right for everybody. I'm just gonna say that this is what we should do. I'm Scott Summers.
Yeah.
Oh, Joe just called Scott Summers a little bitch.
I'm not gonna deny that. I love Scott Summers. I don't mind that he's a little bitch.
I'm just gonna take the Phoenix Force for myself and then kill my mentor and get all mopey about it.
Let's not pretend that AVX represents Scott Summers.
Then I'm gonna go form my own new X-Men in the underground bunker because I'm so sad, Scott Summers.
He went to
so
space for a little bit.
No, that was young Scott
Summers.
Summers.
That was young Scott. That was awesome.
That was young Scott. Young Scott's like, yo, old me's a dick.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a dick. I better spend some time with my dad and get to know how to be like a real person. So I'm not a dick. That's young Scott Summers. He's cool. I like young Scott. Old Scott's dead, and I'm cool with that.
Yeah, and I'm also kind of cool with that.
The way they killed him, though, was really
I'm still
out
not
of nowhere.
Totally certain
What happened?
If the Secret War's death is like in the X-Men comics, they talk about the death of Scott Summers.
Yeah.
As if it was this big moment everybody
We
saw.
never saw it.
Whereas, like to me, the only death we've seen is the one in Secret Wars
Yeah.
when it was Doom that was just like, oh, Phoenix Force, fuck you,
Yeah.
and it was just gone, which was awesome. But still, like that was I guess the death of Scott Summers. Doom unceremoniously saying you are gone now. And that's the thing that all the X-Men are still
Yeah, and then they
about.
come back from there and they're just like, oh, old Scott's
Can't believe
dead.
Scott did what he
and
did.
Yeah, we don't know.
Still don't know
And if
what he
if
did.
Bendis is planning on telling us eventually, like I think it's completely like they probably just forgot. They're like, oh look, nobody cared that we said old Scott wasn't around anymore. Just run with it. Just
could
run
be
with it.
that
Just keep it
it's-
going. Fuck it.
It could be
We
that
don't need to
we
tie
had
that up.
a big 8-month gap after Secret Wars. It could be something else, and it might be leading into Death of X.
Oh,
Because there is a big
that
X-Men
is
event
true.
coming soon called Death of X.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
we
yeah.
have no idea what's going on for that.
They should tie these things up better.
Yeah, but
That's,
that's also
that's the ultimate thing here is like you should tie these things. The fact that we can sit here and joke about it and it's like, no, really, from a storytelling perspective, you just came back from Secret Wars and everyone just accepted Scott died.
Yeah, like if
And-
you're gonna do a foreshadowing thing like that, at least make it clear that that's different than this other story that we just saw. You know, which at this point has not been made clear, and we're just stuck in this like, well, wait, I don't know which story I'm reading right now.
Oh, underscore T is now following. That's what that was.
Welcome. So yeah, I liked the movie. It made me realize that in
How much of this was there? Gene! Scott!
not that much,
Gene!
not that much,
Scott!
which was nice. The BVS and Civil War did not surprise me in any way. I mean, there were some things in BVS that surprised me. I thought I wasn't going to see exactly that yet. Hey, Hyper Rabbit Power, go! Thank you, Genova
Nova Plus, thank you.
Hashtag Neonet would like to fix the donation voice so it says hashtag FuAlex correctly. FuAlex. Hashtag FuAlex. FuAlex. Calibration complete.
That one
Hashtag
worked.
hashbrowns.
That worked. Well, good done. You, good job. You calibrated the friend computer correctly. Thank you for that, Genova Plus. You might want to share that calibration with everyone else. X-Men tying things up. Ha.
It's also
right?
it's also some the history of X-Men is there's always 2 or 3 threads going through a story that belongs to another story.
There was a time when X-Men was pretty well put together, and I really liked the 2 to 3 year timeline. Right around House of M, the 198, all that stuff. Like, I felt like the shit was and Schism and all that. And then after Jason Aaron got off Wolverine and the X-Men, ever since then, I feel like I fucking.
And part of that was when Bendis was doing his big thing, and he loves to tap into, I think, the classics, and he loves, I think, the Silver Age, especially the Bronze Age, and the history of X-Men is and always will be Claremont. That's where the theme of X-Men lives. And so that just takes us back to Apocalypse. A big part of why I loved it is it felt very Claremontian to me.
Yeah.
There's a scene where they just go to the mall. The X-Men go to the mall, and I was like, they were like, should we go to the mall? And I was like, go to the mall.
Guys, you may think that the 90s were really fucking cool. Uncanny X-Men in the 90s. Do you know how many fucking softball and basketball games I had to fucking read through? What a crock of shit. I got so tired of that. Ooh, I'm gonna go pick up the new Uncanny. I'm 12 years old, and I pick it up, and it's like, oh, great, they're playing sports in the back of the Institute again, and don't use your powers. Oh, look, someone used their powers, and oh, you cheated. Great, that's half the fucking book. Thanks, Claremont.
Well, the 90s was when Claremont was kind of burnt out, and he was being overwritten by guys like Jim Lee was writing more than him because of the way Marvel was making all the artists writers and making the writers glorified stenographers. I have a lot of problems with the way Marvel did things in the 90s, but so did everybody else, and that's why they left and started Image.
Somebody in the chat room said, everybody, favorite X-Men, go. You know what? I support that. Favorite X-Man, go.
Good.
Scott Summers, get out. Go home.
Scott Summers.
Okay, good.
That's a really tough one.
There's so many.
I kind of want to say... What?
Joe said Gambit. Of course,
Gambit?
Joe said
What
Gambit.
the fuck?
Yeah.
Fuck
What the
outta
fuck? Get out, Joe.
I think I have to go with Colossus.
Okay.
Yeah. Speaking of he's just the biggest sweetheart.
Dude,
in the
he's
whole X-Men.
he's the biggest sweetheart, but gone toe to toe with some of the most powerful people in the Marvel universe. Traded blows with the Hulk.
Yeah, that's probably why he's the closest to Clark Kent that I have found in the Marvel universe. So that's why I love him.
It's just a big baby.
I love the big sweethearts in the superheroes. It's why Archer and Faith are my favorite characters in all of Valiant, is because they're the ones that I generally feel like have the best moral compass.
All right. Man, I got to really think about that one.
Wolverine's so cool though.
I see. I'm not a huge. Depending on who's writing Wolverine, but because I feel like Wolverine's a better support character. He always works better in a team. Hyper Rap Power, go!
Let's see if I figured this out. #FUZAC #Seth4Champ.
Good job.
Yeah. Good job, Kirby. Good job.
There was a time when Wolverine wasn't overexposed and wasn't the guy. He had a whole bunch of really awesome solo stories that now have made any subsequent solo story redundant and boring. But when you think about talking about best X-Men, I have to think about the Claremont Frank Miller Wolverine miniseries has to be wrapped into that. And that and the first Hellfire Club saga and the early when Wolverine was just the most badass dude on the team, he was there's a reason why he's the guy he is now.
I think I'm going to say Kitty Pryde.
Good one.
Because I feel like she's been one of the most interesting to see how all the different writers have handled her, how they've taken her powers, how they've taken her responsibilities and her personality and her attitude. And you look at her at every different iteration in every different universe.
There's so many.
There's so many. And you got the ultimate version of Kitty Pryde is really great and the leader of the fucking X-Men on their way out. And then you've got Kitty Pryde now as a guardian of the galaxy and married to Star-Lord and all that stuff. Astonishing X-Men Kitty Pryde was really fucking great,
So Joss Whedon loves Kitty Pryde. He wrote her so
yeah. I feel like Kitty Pryde's had a lot of really, really great runs and has been a really well-developed female character. I can't say the same for all the rest. I mean, X-Men has always had one thing: great diversity and a great female cast. They've had a really great female cast, but I can't always say that those female casts have always been really, really well-fledged out. And I feel like your Auroras, your Kitty Prydes, they've been really well-fledged out. Jean has been on like a circle, and I think they're trying to fledge her out now as a young Jean.
Yeah, and I think young Jean is like some of the best Jean we've ever gotten.
Yes,
because
it
otherwise she's been defined by her relationship to Scott or her relationship
She's
to the
defined
Phoenix.
by Scott. She's defined by Scott or Phoenix. Yeah, and
Like
and
those are the two things that make Jean who she is. And this is the first time we've got like a Jean who's like, hey, fuck all that. Which I kind of like that. Like to me, the big theme of Scott and Jean is that they consistently just say "fuck you" to fate. Like when they're told they're not supposed to be together, they are. And the one time they're told you are supposed to be together, when they're brought from the past today, they're like, "Oh, you two are soulmates." They're like, "Fuck that! I'm going over here and I'm going into space."
Yep.
That's awesome.
All right. Well, there's our favorite X-Men. We decided to run with that, and hopefully you
Did
guys
that,
are
I
running
guess.
with it in the
Emma
the
Frost
chat
is-
room.
Emma Frost is great too.
And you
So
know-
yeah, the movie I liked. It had a lot of good fan service. But it surprised me. There were things that I was like, oh, I didn't think they were gonna do this. And a superhero movie hasn't done that since Winter Soldier for me. Man of Steel surprised me, but just because I didn't think they were gonna fuck up that horribly.
in every aspect of Superman.
I didn't think that fucking John Kent was gonna be like, I'm just gonna die because this dog can't walk on its own. I didn't see that coming. But there's a lot of awesome things. I'm gonna say one spoiler. So if you don't want any spoilers at all, mute. I'm gonna hold my hand up, mute your thing right now. When I put my hand down, you can go away. All I'm gonna say is this: Barry Windsor Smith. There's a Barry Windsor Smith moment. That Weapon X guy. It's so fucking awesome that I got my Barry Windsor Smith imagery, and it was just everything I wanted. Okay, and we're back.
Did you get a chance to check out that ScreenRant.com article about the problems with fandom?
No.
Hey, Sergeant Murphy! Look at that!
Power go. Thank you so much.
Going towards Evo. This is cooking.
This is for the Friday fight so Nate can break up the family ride. Get that Atlas out there. Hashtag Defy, hashtag Evo the corp that Zach loves to hate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find myself when there's a headline on the internet and it's like, hey, here's everything wrong with fandom, I just think, oh, I already have my own complaints with fandom, and scroll past it.
Yeah, and you know, I feel like anything in that article is going to be common sense. I haven't got a chance to read it,
And
so
also
I
a
don't
generalization.
and a generalization, and I don't feel comfortable making comments on it without being able to actually dive into it and read it. The problem with running a 5 to 6 day a week, 50 hours of live content is I don't have time to research a lot of these things, especially with all the research I've been doing for other stuff coming up. So I didn't get a chance to read that article. I saw a lot of people sharing it in my kind of nerd groups on Facebook and Twitter, having comments on it and all that good stuff. But, you know, if you guys have comments on it in the chat room, we'd love to hear them. And, you know, you guys can have your own internal discussion.
I think we can sum down our conclusion about fandom to one simple thing, which is just death threats are not okay, and that should be obvious. And like we can just all agree on that and move on, right? Shouldn't that be the case?
It's okay to not agree with something just as much as it's okay for someone to make something that you don't agree with.
Yes.
It's perfectly okay for someone to be like, I don't like this. Just as much as it's okay for you to go, I don't like that, but I respect the fact that they made it and they're doing their own thing with it. People take the shit so far now.
It's so ridiculous.
Naughty Ned, thank you for subscribing again for that resub. We really appreciate that, Naughty Ned. I'm glad you're around.
Also,
today.
you're an audience member, you know? Like I feel this way about anything in a comic that I just don't agree with. Is I don't get to decide how these things go. Like I read a bunch of really crappy Teen Titans because I just go with what's happening in the Teen Titans, you know. And of course it's fine to stop reading a book if you don't like the way it's going, but you don't get to decide what happens. Things happening that you didn't expect is why we come to storytelling. So like,
yeah, no,
bear with it.
Yeah. I mean, I get so frustrated that Dan Slott's still writing Spider-Man. But do I write Marvel a letter? No, and I'm not going to write Marvel a letter either and be like, you have to take Dan Slott off. You know, it's like, whatever. Eventually, I'll get another version. I can always go read Bendis' other Spider-Man. You know, I can...
Yeah, there's still 60 years of Spider-Man you could be reading.
No shit. And I do that sometimes. I go back and I read the stuff I like. I've got all the volumes of Straczynski's Spider-Man. Like, that's what I don't understand about people that go hardcore on this shit. It's like, no one's taking your shit away from you.
Yeah, the only way that a company
People
can
say that
really
ruin their childhood.
Right? The only way that a company can retcon a story you like truly is if they come into your house and take it away from you. Like, there's a lot of things, because DC reboots a lot, that technically don't exist anymore. But I can still go read All-Star Superman. Hell, that's an alternate universe. But, like, the fact that it's an alternate universe doesn't mean it doesn't matter. It's just a book. That's how books work.
It's just a book. It's just a movie. It's just a game. wait and you'll find something else you like. It's just a show on a Twitch channel. We get people that freak out about stuff too. Like when we take properties that they really love and we alter them a little bit to work on Twitch, we get hateful messages about it and stuff. And it's like, either it exists or it doesn't to you. Like, we're doing it. You can either jump on for the ride or don't. I don't understand what compels people to be so like, that they're like, I'm going to send a message. My opinion is more valid than the hundreds of people watching that enjoy this.
You should be catering to me. All right.
So apparently there's some news that came out about right. Do you want to talk about this? Do you know what's going on here? I'm still catching up.
In that there's some news that has come out of the Thor production camp, which is that we already knew that the Hulk was going to be in this film. And the news is that when he shows up, he will be wearing the shoulder guard and armor that was present in Planet Hulk. And that there will be a gladiator match that was very similar to Planet Hulk. There has been a long-standing rumor that this movie was going to be a backdoor Planet Hulk movie.
Yeah. Because it doesn't really serve like the way we've built up Hulk in this universe. We can't just go Planet Hulk.
Yeah, and that's the thing is I don't think I think basically the reason why those rumors exist is that somebody probably saw something about this and leaked something. I expect the costume in the gladiator match to be the only elements of Planet Hulk that we're going to see. I don't think we're going to get any of the actual plot or theme of the movie. Because A, it's a Thor movie, and B, Hulk isn't even kind of smart enough to do any of that stuff yet. He can't fall in love and have a best friend who betrays him. We're not there, not on that level.
So they're also like rumoring that Thor is going to have like a halfway shaved head. Valkyrie's going to be in the movie.
Yeah.
Holy shit! I'm so excited that Valkyrie's going to show up in the movie. She is one of my favorite Marvel characters.
We're gonna finally have a female villain. They're finally allowing that to happen.
Wait, she's gonna be a villain? Valkyrie?
No, not Valkyrie. But I think in this similar news that we have an antagonist actress.
Oh, for Guardians, right?
Oh no, that's right. It's Guardians, not Thor. That one where we finally get a female villain. I assume you heard about Did we talk about the thing where in I think it was Thor 2? There was one movie, it's Iron Man 3 that the villain was going to be a woman, and there was a memo sent by Disney saying no, you can't do that. The action figure isn't going to sell well enough, and so they had to make it a good. Yep, that's a true story.
That was for you, Disney.
That happened.
You don't pay for our channel. Although it does pay for a lot of other stuff that all the people who work here work on. Never mind, retracted statement.
You could if you wanted to. But go see Guardians 2 and show Disney that female villains can be good. Also go see Guardians 2 because you already want to.
But if they're saying at the end of Thor, the last half of the movie of Thor, he's going to have like Thor's going to have kind of a semi-shaved head and stuff like that, I'm guessing that he's going to be part of the gladiator battle as well. Scatsy, thank you for resubscribing.
And I think that's what it's basically instead of
they're both going to get put
instead
on this
of
planet.
Hulk fighting Silver Surfer as it went down on in the book and Beta Ray Bill as it went down in the movie, I expect it to be the Thor versus Hulk fight that we didn't get in Civil War. Because after Civil War, I feel like we're a little bit entitled to Thor and Hulk fighting, because that's the big question after that is, what if those guys were there? The answer is probably going to be this gladiator match just gets destroyed by them going at it.
But you know what's going to happen. I mean, in that kind of stuff, it's such an old cliche that it's kind of like, they're going to get in the gladiator ring together, they're going to trade a couple blows, but ultimately have a plan to escape or work together, and they're not just going to go at it.
You say that, but Civil War's already made over $1 billion, hasn't it?
Yeah, but even then, Civil War at the end, they're just kind of like, but we still love each other. It's
you're not wrong.
They're all
but
pulling
they're
punches.
gonna do it anyway because that's what they just did. So they're gonna do it again.
I just mean it's not gonna be like, it's not gonna be an actual like battle.
This isn't the one where Thor kills the Hulk.
Right.
That's not gonna happen.
That's not gonna happen.
It's gonna be a sweet scene though.
So somebody just posted this stuff. We're gonna pull it up here if we can. Let me try to open this baby up. It's a Juggernaut cosplay that is dope as shit. Now usually I wouldn't just scroll through a bunch of images like this, but there's no better way to show it to you than that. That's
all you need. That's the Juggernaut, bitch.
That's cosplay. That's intense. That looks straight out of the cartoon. Look at that shit.
That's like if they
BMP props.
If they made a movie like in the mid-90s, early 90s, and the Juggernaut was in it, that would have been a solid-looking Juggernaut. We would have been like, Juggernaut looked great. He looked like that.
Dude, he's big as shit, yo.
Could be more bright orange. Could have gotten away with that.
Yep, could have. Could have. That's pretty cool. That's
Silver's
pretty cool.
Juggernaut.
It's pretty neat. I think we're just about ready to talk about comic books.
let's do
finally.
that.
Are we
Okay.
going to talk about comics?
That's the news. Let's talk about
All right,
comics.
guys,
Joe,
it's comic book day.
Comic book day. We're gonna open some books on comic book day. Zach's on my left. You're on my right. Comic book day.
oh God. All right.
Comic book day, guys. It's what we're really here for. We've rambled now for an hour. You're excited to hear us talk about comics. We're excited to talk about comics.
Always.
Let's get into it. Now, once again, we are using the Alter Ego sublist. Alter Ego is the comic shop that we get all our books from. They're very generous. They let me come pick them up on Tuesday night and try to read as many as I can before the show on Wednesday, which never goes very well because I have work to do. But thank you, Alter Ego. They are located in the Crossroads here in Bellevue. Really cool shop, but anyone can go to their website and see what books are coming out this week, sublist.alterego.com. And it's a really neat site because they organize all of the books in order of what is the most subscribed to book for that week, which gives you a really cool idea of what people are excited about. And this week really surprises me.
Yeah.
It surprises the shit out of me.
I mean, Deadpool's been climbing for the past few weeks. And it might be just that there's no Star Wars book this week or My Little
At
Pony
this
book,
store, Deadpool number
Number
13, number 13 is higher than Civil War number 1.
Yeah.
That is fucking mind-boggling.
Part of it might just have to do with the way you subscribe to things. Whereas a lot of people are just going in and taking for granted that their local shop has the first issue of Civil War today.
That's true. That's true.
13 issues into Deadpool, most people who are reading that are going to be pulling it by now. But still, yeah, like it's bigger than The Walking Dead, which is the most profitable comic ever. It's bigger than Batman, which is usually the most profitable comic ever.
Yeah, dude, this list this week, like, I'm starting to not trust their audience at all.
Well, there's something said about, like, they're in Redmond, which is where the Microsoft campus is. And I am not at all surprised about the books that Microsoft employees like, being Deadpool and My Little Pony and Star Wars. You know, that
Big pop culture stuff.
Yeah,
it's
pop culture
stuff.
books. And specifically hyped in geek culture right
Yes,
now. Not
yes.
even like popular geek culture, but hyped in geek culture. These are the things that are really popular on the internet.
Somebody said that Iron Man cover is making me hyperventilate. The Mary Jane Watson. Okay. So let's get it. I didn't read Deadpool number 13, despite it being the number one subscribed to book of the week, because I'm not a huge fan of the current Deadpool storyline. I loved it before Secret Wars. Now, after the Secret Wars initiative, I'm kind of on the fence about it, because he's like rich and he's like, it's meta in that way,
Yeah.
that they knew the movie was going to blow up and that Deadpool was going to make all this money. Interesting, but I'm not digging it as much. I did read Amazing Spider-Man number 13.
How was that?
Interesting, because this is the first.
Miles in it?
It's got Miles in it, and it's got Tony Stark in it. And just as Tony Stark has been kind of taking over the Spider-Man and making little jabs at Slott, like Bendis is making jabs at Slott in his Iron Man books and throwing the Spider-Man stuff in it. So here Slott took the Iron Man shit and put it in his book and throws little jabs at Bendis. Now, the only refreshing thing about this book is because we get Parker, Miles, and Tony all together for most of the book, it's one of the most enjoyable Slott single issues I've read in a long time.
Cool.
Because it allows for there to just be some character moments. But then again, it also solidifies, for me, why Bendis should just be writing it, because it's not as strong as any single issue of a Bendis written Spider-Man book at all.
Really pretty cover, though.
The cover's pretty great. It's just like a lot of stereotypical shit happens in it, you know, like it's
When two superheroes meet, this is the comic that comes out of it.
Tony Stark and Spider-Man show up, and it's like, so Miles is currently on the Avengers, and Peter rushes out of his office because he's got to go, like, meet up Miles to have, like, a big brother kind of mentor thing, and he gets there, and Iron Man's there, and it's like, oh, hey, no worry, you know, I just followed him over after our Avengers meeting and just, you know, talking to the kid and whatever, and then he's, like, wanting to test out those new web shooters I made for Miles. And he's like, why would you make new web shooters? He's like, look, no offense to your pal Peter Parker, but my tech is much better. So it's just like he starts insulting Peter Parker's tech, and then Spider-Man gets all like, I work for Parker Industries because we're the blah, 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 and we make the best blah, blah, blah. And then they get into an actual fist fight based on that. And
So
you're just like,
they
my Spider-Man's
literally
a
have
dick.
a dick measuring contest
Yes!
that comes to blows.
Yes.
Oh, over Miles Morales.
Over Miles Morales. And Miles Morales walks away. But it's like the problem with the book, I think. I don't know what Dan Slott's long game plan is here, but he acknowledges in the book itself, like, that's why everyone was so excited when Doc Ock was out of his brain, because we're like, finally, we're tired of Dick Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. And then he's still a dick. And Miles Morales is walking away from the fight, and he's just like saying basically, I'm ashamed to wear this costume. He's a jerk. And you're just like, yeah, dude.
That's heartbreaking, though.
Yeah, dude.
Like he's not wrong, but like Dan Slott shouldn't be putting Miles in that position.
No, see, Iron Man isn't the instigator because in this world now, Tony Stark doesn't know Peter Parker is Spider-Man because that all got retconned. So he's insulting the tech that Peter Parker Industries made, thinking that Spider-Man is just a private for-hire bodyguard of Parker Industries and that he wants to hire Spider-Man to start using and showing off his tech. So he's not an instigator. He's insulting the secret alter ego of, whatever. It's silly, and it makes Spider-Man, again, look like kind of a dick. But it does set up Regent. Regent showed up in the Secret Wars one-shot story. Mm-hmm. And Regent is now a part of this universe, and they're just throwing him, like, really quickly into the big leagues. Yep. Like, just like, boom, big league villain out of nowhere. But it's one of the best single issue, despite it being kind of dumb, it's still one of the better single issue slots I've read in a long time because it allowed there to be just Spider-Man moments in there. So
that's good, at the very least.
Whatever. I did not get a chance to read Walking Dead. Did you?
I did. Never let The Walking Dead pass me by. The tip of the spear. That's all we get from the description.
That sounds dirty.
So by now they have announced that I think it's in 157 is the beginning of a storyline called the Whisperer War. So we've been building up these bad guys, the Whisperers, and Negan in the last month met their leader. And so they have a conversation this time. And Negan and Alpha could not be more different with the way that they are villains to our team, but they will nonetheless team up. Negan's just like the best. He's just one of my favorite villains ever.
Really?
He has a moment
despite what he did.
What do you mean what he did? I love good villains. Good villains do bad things.
Man, so bad.
You can't dislike a villain for doing something bad.
Look,
That's
I stopped.
Why you like villains.
I don't want to spoil. Well, 55. Oh God, it's so far past now. But basically, I stopped reading for a long time after what happened to Glenn.
Really?
Yeah.
You didn't want to see vengeance? You didn't want to see what was going to happen next?
I was hurt, man. I was deeply hurt.
Man, how did you make it through 100 issues of The Walking Dead without realizing that anybody was going to die?
But Glenn was my light, man. Glenn was my light and my hope.
So did you watch the Game of Thrones after the Red Wedding?
I don't watch Game of Thrones. I don't like it. So I compare it more to Death Note when there's that huge drop-off of people that finish Death Note after, spoilers, Elle dies. So when Elle dies in Death Note, most people just stop watching.
Yeah, well, those people missed a bunch of awesome shit because The Walking Dead is still fantastic. It's great. Negan is such an awesome villain, and he's sort of falling in love with this psychopath who lives in zombie skin, and it's so good. Oh my god. I would watch a whole spin-off with these two just talking to each other, or read a whole spin-off. Just every issue they could just be sitting in the forest, just one of them using excessive, using excessive profanity, the other one using very cold, calculating language. It's fantastic. This book never bores me.
Cool. Well, it's got Scott's thumbs up approval.
Compared to the Lori death, dude, I wanted Lori to die like the minute she appeared. I was so happy when Lori died.
Me too. Whatever. Come on. In the books, get her. Get out. Gone. Get out.
Spoilers for The Walking Dead, where if it's 55 issues ago, that's about 5 years. The statute of limitations has passed.
Has it been 5 years?
Something like that. Well, I try to... 60 issues is 12 months. That's 5 years, so it's probably more closer to 4 years, maybe a little less. But The Walking Dead also did every other week during All Out War.
Guys, quick reminder to everyone watching, thank you for tuning in this Wednesday. We are talking about comic books. I am the Overlord Zach, and this is on my right. And just all the lurkers that may be watching, if there's any new viewers in the chat, come out and say hello. We like to say hello to all the lurkers and all the new people that might be watching in the chat room and let you know why we, Hyper RPG, are one of the coolest channels on Twitch, and we live based on your support. You guys in the chat room, because of you, look at that, Darky1600 is now following. There you go, come out of the woodwork. Because of you guys, if you are watching, throw us a follow. We do all sorts of great content all week, and you guys' donations, your subscriptions, your follows, all those contributions keep this channel fucking alive. Without it, we wouldn't exist. No pressure. No pressure at all, guys. But thank you so much for watching today. We're going to get right back into the comics. And the reason I wanted to do that, see, look at that drift at 12:25. Thank you for coming out of the woodwork. The reason I want to do that is because we're going to talk about this next book probably without breathing for a good 20 minutes. So
this one we might have to, we got to get like a spoiler overlay graphic or something for some of these comics, because we're going to have to spoil this one if we're going to talk about it properly. Luckily, the big events in it happened in other fucking comics that came out the last few weeks, like the Free Comic Book Day issue and the Zero issue, so some of them have already happened anyway.
Okay, Joe, how quickly can you put a spoilers warning on the screen? Joe, give me feedback on that.
Megalo Blazemon suggested that Walking Dead would be hilarious or how people would react if it had the Wizard of Oz ending, where Rick just wakes up in the hospital and was like, I saw you and I saw you. If that happened, I would actually just think it's hilarious.
I would probably think it's hilarious
too. That would be the most Robert Kirkman thing that's ever happened.
That's
I
more
would be
like,
so down with it.
He probably won't do it in Walking Dead, but he would totally do that in Invincible.
Yeah, Invincible.
He would definitely do that in
Invincible could
Invincible.
just be Mark like just sitting up at his desk in the first issue, realizing he was daydreaming the entire time.
Yeah, it would work.
And that's it. And he just never got his powers, and his dad isn't actually a superhero. Yeah,
it'd be totally fine. Joe, are you in the booth, and can you tell me whether or not we got spoilers up on screen? Is Joe in the booth? Anybody? Does anyone in this office actually keep the channel open and pay attention while shows are on? That might be a no. Is Joe in the booth? Now you are. Put spoilers up on screen. I need you to put a spoilers warning up on screen. Totally not awkward or at all weird.
Do you know how The
whenever we
Walking
talk
Dead
to
was
nobody.
supposed to end?
No.
So when The Walking
Enlighten
Dead,
me.
The Walking Dead is actually very much responsible for Image being what it is today, because it's super long-running, creator-owned. Robert Kirkman's kind of in charge now, but also back then everything was sci-fi or at least sort of tangentially related to the superhero universe. This is early 2000s when The Walking Dead begins. So they didn't have any interest in a story that was just about zombies. So originally, in like the second or third trade, we were gonna find out that aliens were there was the cause of the zombie apocalypse was actually aliens. And it was gonna be sci-fi.
It's so funny.
And Robert Kirkman had no intention of following up on this. This was just the pitch because he knew that they wouldn't care about a zombie thing. And then after a while, he was like, yeah, I'm just not doing that. And so now
The book's selling well.
now it's
Shut
just
up.
Zombies.
Yeah.
And here we are 10 years later. It's 32
TV
episodes
show
a year.
A prequel TV show.
Yeah.
All that stuff. All right, guys. Joe, you got that spoiler warning? All right. So we are going to talk about Civil War 2, #1, the biggest release of this week. Last week we had Rebirth. Last week we had Hail Hydra. This week we've got Civil War 2, #1. Now the thing is, this book has some pretty shocking shit that happens in it, but it's not going to be trending Twitter.
No.
And I think part of that
But
is...
I mean, just like Rebirth. There's some crazy shit in it.
Right.
But it's not going to piss everybody off.
Which is an interesting thing to talk about from a marketing standpoint, and this goes right back to my whole fucking thing about it always drives me crazy when comics hit the main media, the news and Twitter, like hashtag and stuff, because nobody's reading them.
Yeah, and they also, like, there's a way this works.
Yeah.
And it's different than other storytelling mediums, and they don't know that.
It's really funny because something like the Hail Hydra thing hits Twitter, and all these people are freaking about it. Nobody's reading Captain America. That book is not selling super well.
We had a whole good conversation about the actual content of the book and why it's dangerous and why it's a slippery slope. And it's telling that there are other things to be concerned about the depiction of mostly Trump supporters in that book. And nobody's talking about that because none of them read any of the pages that weren't the last one.
They just took that one image and just shit
Which
it
is
all
great.
out.
If somebody starts talking to you about the Captain America comic, be like, oh yeah, and then when he did, and then mention anything else from the book, and as you see that blank face, that blank look on their face, and they're like, wait, what? Then you know they're full of shit. You can walk on.
Oh, they said there's still no spoiler warning on screen. He said it's
that was
there.
there.
Okay.
Thanks, Joe.
All right. So,
Guys, Joe really is really good at his job. It's just that his job has a fuck ton of stuff to do.
Yes. I want other people in the office watching the screen so they can yell at him when he's doing other stuff. So, basically, I think it's interesting because Civil War 2 had some really big shit happen in it, and I also think it's the way it's presented is the reason it's not going to be as like... Spencer was really smart with how, like, it was a marketing thing with the Hail Hydra thing. Last page, full page image, like a couple like quiet moments leading up to it, and then boom, full page splash that was iconic from a low angle, looking up, like you can tell he worked with the artist on that. They knew this is something that will get shared around.
It was kind of cool. Like if we ignore all the bullshit that happened the last week, like it's a good looking page and a pretty interesting twist. Like we're gonna see where this goes. And then it exploded. Civil War 2. Basically, and we've got the spoiler content on, so let's talk about what it sets up, because we've known for a while the premise of the second Civil War is that there is this inhuman Ulysses. We saw in the Zero issue, we saw his Terrigenesis. We know that he can see the future, and so the question of Civil War is, do we act on knowing the future? So in Civil War, the Free Comic Book Day issue, we saw Thanos attack, and Ulysses warned us about it, and so we tried to stop him, we being the Ultimates, and it did not go well.
A black spoke.
Thank you for following.
Thank you for following. Hello.
In this issue, we see, actually, before that happens, we see that Ulysses has warned the Avengers, and basically there's kind of a cool scene in the beginning where like everybody in the Marvel Universe teams up to stop some Celestials, which it's badass.
It's really bad. It's a really great fight scene.
Yeah, it's a great way to open an event comic.
Yeah.
Right? Like, especially like in a few years, if you're like, I'll check out Civil War 2. Boom. Now we're fighting the Celestials. So Ulysses warned them about that. So this scene goes, they stop them really well. Like, everybody does their things. There's all kinds of different heroes from the Marvel Universe playing a role, and they save the day. It goes very, very well. And then we see at least a reference to the Free Comic Book Day issue where Thanos attacks and they try to intervene, and it goes very, very poorly. Rhodey gets
fucking demolished.
It looks like he gets like ripped out of the...
He gets punched so hard in the stomach that his spine goes out the back of the fucking...
That's what it was. And he goes back through the suit. It is presumed that he is dead, and She-Hulk gets blown up. So after that, we come back here in the Civil War, and we only see a little bit of that in the issue, which that kind of bothered me, that this Free Comic Book Day issue is a huge point that like we barely saw, and it's hard to get Free Comic Book Day issues after Free Comic Book Day is over. So now that once we've acted on Ulysses and it's gone very well, and once we've acted on Ulysses and it's gone very poorly, now we are in a position to have this discussion. Should we or shouldn't we continue to act on this? And that's kind of where the issue lets off, except for one big plot point. But for the rest of the issue, it's mostly Tony and Carol yelling at each other about how they should have done this differently.
Now, what I think is really interesting about this book, the only downside I see to the book, which is weird for a Bendis book, it moves so fast. It moves incredibly fast. I wish this book was split up into 2 issues. It sets up the stage really fast, but because it sets it so fast, I feel like I'm going to be less attached to the arguments. Now, it does set the stage way better than Civil War 1. Yeah. Civil War 1 used kids as an example to try to buy into your affection for what was happening. Oh, a bunch of kids died. Boom, we hooked you. Like, now you have a stance. Doesn't really work. You're not attached to the story.
Yeah, and the conversation in Civil War was already a valid conversation to have. You know, and like there's just a bunch of reasons why it sort of fell apart, namely that they ignored mutants, and that should have been what the conversation was about anyway. But yeah, this one sets it up a lot better.
It sets it up better. It just moves so fast that these conversations that are happening, our characters are having to make decisions really quickly at a breakneck speed that we kind of understand based on who they are. Like, we understand because Carol is now part of the Sword kind of team.
Sword and the Ultimates and Alpha
the Ultimates
Flight.
And all that stuff. Now, the thing is, she hasn't been doing that for very long. Carol used to be Carol written by Kelly Sue DeConnick, which is much more intimate character moments. Now she's more of an epic character in the Marvel Universe.
Now that she's been all hyped up, she has to be like, oh, look, sell all these books.
Yeah. She's like the head of Sword. And that is a much more interesting point for her. But to just have her make this stance in the book is going to feel kind of out of left field for a lot of people who aren't up to date on all that stuff. Thank you, Steph Woodburn, for the host. Thank you so much. Now hosting us for 141 viewers. Thank you, Steph.
For those of you that just joined us, you'll notice the spoiler warning on the screen. We are talking about Civil War 2 #1. We are spoiling the events of the comic.
Yes, we are.
So go
But you should stick around because it's a lot of fun.
We're going to talk about it.
We're going to talk about it.
Megalo Blazemon brings up something that bothered me about the issue. They say every Inhuman has a purpose. That said, are we meant to know the future? And that's the thing about Terrigenesis, is that it's not random. The Terrigen Mist is intelligent and creates Inhumans based on what the world will need. So there is a question to be asked about the existence of Ulysses suggests maybe we should know the future. However, one of my issues with this book is that, and this is a problem kind of throughout the Marvel Universe, a lot of people treat the Inhumans as this random faction that they can do anything with.
Yeah.
They have a whole culture. I don't think that, like, the way that the Inhumans, they weren't written much in this issue, but every time they were, I was like, it felt wrong. So I don't think they're going to explore that because I don't think the Inhumans are going to be treated well. They haven't been treated well for a while, I think. They've had interesting stories, but as a concept...
I did like that they said, like, keeping secrets doesn't really work out very well for us, so we're trying something new.
Yeah, except for that was absolutely false. The exact opposite is the case. Every time the Inhumans try to try something new or interact with people that aren't Inhumans, it goes horribly for them.
That's when shit falls apart.
Isolationism has worked for them
When they were on the
time.
moon, shit was fine.
Yeah, that's when it goes well. Like, when Black Bolt and Maximus blew up Adelan and released the Terrigen cloud, that was a huge problem, and most of the Inhumans thought it was heresy, and Medusa was like, this was done without my say-so. Like, people don't care about the Inhumans enough, but that's also not a huge part of this book. It's just that, yeah, instead of it being a mutant that could see the future, it's an Inhuman that could see the future because we're trying to push the Inhumans right now.
Yes, and I think the best thing about this book is Marquez.
Yeah, it's
the
beautiful.
art is fucking legit. And even though the book moves at a breakneck speed, the last 4 or 5 pages of this book are okay because Marquez's moments with these characters, the art is fucking legit and it sells the emotional weight of what's happening despite the words having to move things around so fast. Like, the imagery supports it, and it supports it really well, and it sells these quiet, intimate moments, which Bendis does better than a lot of other writers. He does intimate conversations really well. He's just having to move way faster than I wish he could.
I also think he can't help himself. Like, I think there's something to be said about, like, I don't necessarily mind the speed at which the story is going, but it's happening at the same time. Bendis can't stop doing his Bendis dialogue. So while things are going on really fast, people are still quipping and having all these jokes, and it's like, I feel like Bendis should have plotted this more on his own, or somebody else should have scripted it, because there's these two styles that are clashing throughout the whole book. The event style and the Bendis style.
Yes, that's true. I would say that my favorite part was the Bendis style.
Yeah,
at
and
the
yeah,
end.
like I said, in the beginning, there's like all this conversation, and yeah, when they do this, like, this super rehearsed, we know we're gonna stop the Celestials and we've planned this out, and everybody's sort of saying their roles and calling to each other. It's really fun. And then at the end, when it's just Carol and Tony talking about we've had this conversation and look what happened, it's also really good. And in the middle, I just felt
the
like
party
there
thing
was
didn't
two things
work.
happening.
Yeah, I didn't like the party scene at all.
No.
And that's where I felt like things are moving too quick. The characters aren't defined. That being said, the second Spider-Man talks, you're like, this is the guy that writes Spider-Man. You know?
yeah.
Like,
The second, you're like, oh, that's right. Bendis is fantastic at writing Spider-Man.
Yeah, the second Spider-Man speaks, you're like, oh, yep, Bendis writes Spider-Man. Get over it, Slot. You'll never write Spider-Man as well as Bendis does just through one line. But that's the problem, too, is like, I think Spider-Man's ingrained in Bendis' DNA now, and he can't not write in that voice as a character. But
It's also like he has a voice too. Bendis himself, like, everybody sounds the same in every Bendis comic I've read. That's why sometimes I love and sometimes I hate him. It's, to me, he's the Aaron Sorkin of comics. Where, like, if you really, I love Aaron Sorkin, so I like all of his stuff, and I understand why people hate The Social Network, because it's way more Aaron Sorkin than it is about Zuckerberg. And to me, has that sort of thing where, like, this feels like it's maybe a little more Bendis than it should be. It's not quite to that extent, but he's one of those writers.
how much should I spoil these last couple
That's
pages?
the thing. Okay, the spoiler warning is on. I think we have to talk about it because
I want to show the art too in these intimate moments.
yeah, it's really brutal. Carol's got this eye patch on her face, but
Had the shit
I also
kicked
have a
out of
problem
her.
with just the fact that it worked. The fact that just this missile that was shot by Rhodey in the Free Comic Book Day, a missile hits Jen, She-Hulk.
I don't know
And
if anyone's in the booth to switch to camera 2, but that would be great. But again, I don't think anyone's paying attention.
Spitfire.
Hello.
Hey,
Friend
Spitfire!
Computer welcomes a new thumper.
Spitfire1708, thank you for subscribing. We are now 3 subscribers away from a new Steam Key giveaway. Thank you so much. Guys, a couple other quick announcements. When we get to 8,000 followers, we're going to do a big giveaway. When we get to 950 subscribers, we're going to do a big giveaway. When we get to 1,000 subscribers, I'm going to ride on a goddamn electronic tandem bicycle with Claudia, and it's going to be the worst thing I've ever done with my free time in my fucking life, but it's going to happen. Because we said it would. But I want to remind everybody watching that if you follow, that goes a really long way to support this channel. We're getting really close to 8,000 followers, so any little bit that you can do, we would really appreciate it. Now, if someone in the office is paying attention, switch to camera 2, please.
So at the end of the Free Comic Book Day issue, a missile from Rhodey that was meant to hit Thanos, which means it probably had the biggest payload they could find, instead hits She-Hulk. So that's why we are by She-Hulk's bedside while Tony and Carol are having this conversation that is just expertly drawn.
No one
and
is in the office paying
Once we switch to
attention.
camera 2, we'll be able to show you it a little
No one
better.
paying attention in the office at all. Totally going to get really frustrated if this keeps happening. Who's paying attention? Thank you, Joe.
So here at the end, we have this conversation, and go ahead and turn the page.
All right.
I don't know if there's a thing besides what happens that you want to do.
It needs to happen faster. I'm getting frustrated.
And She-Hulk looks up at Carol and says, I don't know what the exact words were, basically,
Yeah. Don't let him change. It's our future,
it's our
not
future.
his.
Yeah. Basically, even though this happened, I still agree that we should be proactive.
Fucking frame right here. This
and
frame.
She-Hulk dies, and Carol cries, and it was beautifully drawn.
It makes it feel like both sides have lost somebody in a way, and that She-Hulk dead, Rhodes dead, all within the course of one battle with Thanos. What I like about this is it reminds this universe Thanos is a badass motherfucker, and can tear the shit out of people
This
if you
time
don't.
he didn't have a big honking gun. It was just Thanos. In the Free Comic Book
One-on-one
Day issue,
fight.
he shows up with a big honking gun, and Thanos doesn't need a big honking gun. He's Thanos. So the one thing that still has yet, and I've read 3 comic books now that have Civil War II on the cover, and I still am not at all convinced in it being an actual Civil War. That's the thing that I'm still waiting on. That I still don't see how this comes to anybody exchanging blows. I understand in a big way them saying, we should be doing this or we shouldn't be doing this, but it becoming a real fight, a war, and not just a conversation, something that should be an event and not just a story arc. I'm still not sold on that.
So a black character and a woman character dies for plot development, says AJ. Oh shit.
Yeah.
Yep. Basically, yep. You called it like it is. Yep.
If we want to go back to the first Civil War, they brought back the Black Goliath for a second to kill, and so now we've got Rhodey and She-Hulk.
That being said, Rhodey is a very important part of this universe, and so is She-Hulk.
And that's something that I wonder what's going to happen.
That's why
here
it feels
because,
rushed.
Yeah, it also feels very odd for She-Hulk and Rhodey to have just died, and for the big event that killed them to have been in the Free Comic Book Day issue. That's weird. Maybe this is going to be one of those things where time travel is part of it.
What I was trying to show with the art guys is these drawings of facial expressions is where Marquez is hitting it out of the fucking park. There are subtle things that are happening while this dialogue is happening that sells the shit out of the conflicted position that Tony and Carol are in. Carol is so hurt and destroyed by what's happening. Every single drawing shows her eyes glossed over in such an amazing way that you believe every word she's saying. She actually says, "I love you, Tony, and I'm truly sorry." And the facial expression that they're selling on that panel is so fucking great that you believe every word. So the art is supporting the story so well that that's going to be what sells this book. It's not the art's moving or the story's moving way too fast, but the facial expressions, the anger in Tony's face, the regret, but yet, and it's not regret that she did it, it's the regret that a friend has died. Agents of Fire is now following. Thank you so much for that follow. Hello. It's those quiet moments that are going to sell this book, and it makes me really excited about this event, and hopefully it's not another one of those event comics where they push the artist too hard, and then by the 8th book or 6th book, whatever, the art is really sloppy and it's not working. But if they can continue with these moments right here, like these panels, I'm fucking sold.
And that's something that the first Civil War, throughout its entirety, had spectacular art.
Yeah.
It never dragged, as far as I'm concerned. So, are you on Team Carol or Team Tony?
I'm on Team Carol on this book.
Really?
100%.
I am so Team Tony.
100%, because Tony, to me, is out of character in the sense that out of everyone in the Marvel Universe, Tony has to be the one to understand mistakes that happen not being put on the people who put them in that situation, but the fact that the mistakes just kind of happen. For him to lash out at Carol for Rhodey's death feels very out of character. Not out of character in that he's an emotional kind of person that blames people for other people's problems kind of thing, but more that he, out of everyone in the Marvel Universe, has made so many mistakes that have hurt other people based on trying to do what he believes to be the right thing without clearing it with other people. He should understand Carol's move better than anyone. He should understand where she's coming from
and
better than anyone.
That's why he was, and I guess my question wasn't as much, do you think Tony, it makes sense Tony to pick this side, but regardless of whether or not I think it's in character, are you proactive or reactive as far as the heroine goes? As far as the Ulysses problem, do you think we should be acting on it? Because you were right, Tony also was with them when they first found out, you know, the stuff we should be acting on this information. However, and this is why I'm on Tony's side, is he makes one argument that I think is pretty undeniable. Ulysses saw this celestial come to Earth and destroy everything. We stopped that, which means we're already living in a future he can't see, which means he can only see a future, which means this is already really unreliable. And that's why I'm already sold on Tony's side, is that is logic I can't really get past.
Yeah.
Whereas, I think that there's a point at which you start playing God, and you need to ask the question, as heroes, what are we responsible for, and what are people responsible for?
I'm more on the side of I don't understand how this ends with them fighting each other.
Oh yeah, I'm still there too. I don't know why it's not
at the end of this book.
This is the extent of this conversation, right?
At the end of this book, you feel for both of them, but not in a way that you could see either one of them choosing to beat the shit out of each other. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't a Dan Slott Spider-Man book where they just start punching each other. These are really adult, well-written characters who are having a logic-based argument, and both of them are hurt very, very badly. And I think something that's going to come back in the next book is the conversation that Rhodey and Tony have at the party about Rhodey saying he needs an upgraded suit.
Yeah, that's something. Rhodey was like, hey, dude, I still got this suit from the 80s, and I just keep strapping guns on it.
And he's like, you have $4 billion. He's being a dick.
He makes a joke, though. He's also
joke.
like, I can't afford it. We're doing fine, basically. He's like, what do you mean? Just strap another gun. Your suit's fine. And then the next time he sees him, he's dead.
And you know that Tony's going to run the numbers and know that his suit would be able to take a hit from Thanos, and the suit, the hand-me-down suit that he gives Rhodey.
And he says, like, this shouldn't have happened. It should have responded in time. Like, yeah, I think you're right. And number two, I think we'll also have...
guilt. The guilt's going to come back, which, again, is Bendis writing Spider-Man and not Tony Stark.
There you go. We're also going to see, I think, now Ulysses has to have a third vision, right? We've got the Celestials, we've had Thanos, and now this third vision is going to be, I think, the real divide, where Carol says, we have to act on this. And Tony says, last time you did that, Rhodey and Jen died, so no, we can't act on this. To me, that's where number two goes. But yeah, we still need a real source of conflict, not a source of discussion.
This is a source of discussion.
Yeah.
I don't understand where the conflict's going to come from, except Tony's ego if Carol moves forward. I do understand, but that's the thing. Bendis is writing Tony in such an interesting way. I don't believe this Tony has the ego. Like, old Tony from 2 years ago in the comics, I would totally believe if he was like, I can do those things, other people can't.
Yeah.
I'm the futurist. I'm the smart one. I'm the one that knows whether or not it's good for people. Other people like Carol can't make that decision. That's a more interesting character flaw, I think, in Tony Stark, that to take that position. But I don't feel like this book is going to go that route because he's writing Tony in a very human way.
I also like the idea, though, they talk about the futurist thing, where the idea for him being a futurist is not about
predicting it.
Or even controlling it. It's about influencing it. It's about creating a better future and bringing the future to today, whereas she is about making sure this future happens and not that future, you know? I mean, we can go back and forth on this, and I think that's also sort of the point, and this is a better way to frame a Civil War than the first one, where we had to start fighting immediately in Civil War 1. Or at the very least, we started, like, it was the first issue where Spider-Man unveils himself. Now, the tie-ins can begin to have a conversation before they have to start punching each other, whereas it wasn't until, like...
But even then, that conversation doesn't feel as if it should lead to them punching each other.
Which is why...
It's a logic debate.
We can get that out of the way. And then, when a real thing happens, some people will have to actually put their money where their mouth is, as far as the conversation they've had. Some people will, some people won't. But we can then do the actual fight without going, but wait, we still don't even know what we think about this.
I feel the only problem I have with this, too, is it's an age-old thing that we've discussed so many times in comics. This isn't the first character to show up and predict the future, and then say, okay, if we stop it, if we even say and announce that we're going to stop it, we've now altered that future, and that future...
like every other Legion of Superheroes story you just described.
Yeah. And it's basically like, actually, you should read Ivar Timewalker from Valiant, because they handle it in a really unique way, and it feels hopeless as fuck. Because time is even though it's not linear, it's linear, and they do a great way of explaining it in that book in a way that makes you feel like in one issue really hopeful, and in the next like, God damn it, man. But I feel like we've done this so many times, and as Tony said in the book when they first brought it up, he's like, his future saw a Celestial destroying the Earth. we stopped the Celestial, so his version of the future is incorrect. That shows the inherent problem here.
And did that mean that to fix this, like, there are a lot of time travel things that suggest that some things are constant. So by stopping the Celestial, did we make Thanos come to Earth and have to attack it? Or are we going to keep bringing bad guys because
they already did that though. That's what bothers me. It's like somebody,
Yeah,
Megalo
that too.
Blazeman said earlier, like, shouldn't we be more concerned that if a Celestial shows up to destroy the Earth, we should be asking why is the Celestial trying to destroy the Earth? Isn't there something bad going on there? In the Marvel Universe, our version of the Earth has been a target of every other universe and Celestial in the galaxy for like 5 years now. And that's like, they've just decided that Earth is a target.
Hate us.
It's something that creates where it's the hub of where everything else goes wrong from, but yet they can't destroy it because it's protected and all this other shit. So that's an issue overall with the Marvel Universe that they, for some reason, don't want to address. But just by knowing the future, you already change it. I agree with that, Megalo Blazemon. I think that's the interesting conundrum here, is it's a story that's been told so many times before. Is it worth... Swedrick, thank you for following. Hello. Is it an issue that warrants the heroes fighting each other over? I don't believe that it is. I think that this is a logic argument. I think that making She-Hulk and Rhodey die in this book is interesting. I would have felt like it was a gimmick if the art didn't sell those moments so well. And feeling Carol, like, man, those drawings of Carol, like, they choked me up. Seeing her, being able to tell that her eyes were swollen and tearing up, and she wasn't actually shedding a tear till the very last page, but you could see that her eyes were swollen and about to cry every single drawing. Mabel Trees will remember that as a friend computer. Thank you for following. Hello. I thought that was really great. I'm excited just because of the art, but I don't really buy the conflict.
And yeah, we're still getting started. But yeah, we'll see where this goes. We'll definitely talk about it a lot more. Yeah, it's neat, and I don't know where it's gonna go. I also think we get into trouble when there's certain conversations that we can have about superheroes that if we have them inside a superhero universe, we break it. Like, there's already a book that asks, what if we started treating superheroes more realistically? It's called Watchmen. We don't need to write Watchmen again, and that teaches us when superheroes are realistic, it sucks. The real world can't support superheroes. You know? And so, like, that to me is the big thing. Like, in this, we're starting to get the problem. Well, proactive versus reactive. We can't actually be proactive as superheroes. It would be great if we could. It would mean we get really boring stories.
You know what's interesting? I just realized how... This is the exact same setup that Hickman had in a weird way. And where did Tony fall on that? The complete opposite side. And that just shows, like, how different Bendis has, like, set up this... But, like, when we first got the incursion events... They went forward in time, and Captain America and everyone else saw Earth was going to die if they didn't figure out how to stop these incursions from happening. They saw the future.
I will not allow the acceleration of that death.
Right, and so we got the Illuminati working together and eventually deciding as a group to kick Captain America out of the group. That whole setup would have led me to believe the next Civil War was going to happen way more than this. Because that was some shady shit that was going down.
Cool.
And would have been way more believable. And it practically did. I mean, Captain America and Tony came to blows. Mazardi, thank you for following.
Although that just happens these days, apparently.
I know. Hickman's setup was so long thought out. Again, nobody appreciates Hickman until you go back and read all the trades at once. And you're like, oh,
so
fuck,
cool,
man. Like, so, like, when you're reading issue to issue, you're like, I have no idea what the fuck's going on. But it was a long game, and in that long game, you believed that there was a reason that heroes would have been super divided like they were towards right before Secret Wars happened, because the Illuminati lied to everyone, have been destroying universes of innocent people, and because they predicted the future and were able to see what was going to happen, and that Tony Stark chose to stop it and to change their outcome to save them. So it's weird that he falls on the other side of the argument in this one.
He's still, like everybody who wasn't Namor, when it came to actually destroying a planet with people on it, when they were all unpopulated.
Not all of them.
One of them was like zombies. But the first one, there were 3 or 4 that were unpopulated, and then they get to the Squadron Supreme Earth. And they beat the Squadron Supreme, and at the end, all of them say, no, I can't actually do this, until, of course, Namor is like, fine, I'll be the one that can
I'm the
do
dick.
Things. I'm the one who this isn't character assassination for, so I'm the one who will do this. This is why I'm on the team.
But it makes Namor more interesting to me, too, because he's a character who can take the weight. He's a
That
king.
was awesome.
He's a king.
It was so awesome when that happened. That was one of my favorite Namor moments where I was like, this is why Namor is technically a hero, because he just saved the universe in a way that none of the other heroes would.
I like it because they set him up in that story to be like, this is what a king does. And I think Black Panther's most interesting moments in those books too are when those two were arguing as kings and not as men. And they were saying like, this is like being a king is making these decisions. Shredhead99.
Thank you for the resub.
Thank you for resubbing.
I would have read a whole Hickman spinoff of like kings in the Marvel universe.
Yeah. Somebody said longest.
Bolt, T'Challa.
Arma said longest spoiler segment ever. Yes. And you know what? We like. It's a good. Obviously, the book is doing something right when we can sit here and talk about it.
And then we're gonna do that when huge landmark books come out. We're gonna talk about them at length because that's part of what like. If you're gonna read comics one issue at a time, you got to do that to get the most out of it.
Yeah.
You know, we're waiting a month. We want to come up with this. Here's what's going to happen. Here's what we thought about it. But we should probably move on.
We're going to move on.
You can drop the spoiler tag for now.
Thing. I read Invincible Iron Man number 10. It was a pretty decent book. We find out that everyone in the world thinks Tony is dead, and he's currently undercover.
What do they think happened to him?
They think that he's dead. Like he got killed by this group that can control technology, and it's an Inhuman group in Asia. And the Terrigen Mist made their way through and changed a bunch of people. Hey, best way to introduce a whole bunch of new characters in Marvel, Terrigen Mist.
Yeah, for like 6 years now.
But Mary Jane is still a big fixture of this book. I really feel like there's a war happening between Dan Slott and Brian Michael Bendis and subtle quips that happen in all these books.
I can't tell if like either they're in cahoots or like a brawl's gonna break out one day.
Yeah.
Because it's either they're both laughing about this together or they're getting pissed. I don't think there's any middle ground.
It's pretty good. I mean, Bendis is writing a really great Iron Man book right now. I suggest everybody check it out. I did not get a chance to read All New, All Different Avengers, DC Bombshells.
I read the first two. The way this is a digital comic, it's like 3 digitals wrapped into one when it comes out physically. The number 13 sort of stood alone between the 12 was the conclusion of a big storyline in which we saw Aquawoman lose her powers. So this issue finally picks that back up. We get Samira. We get more of the Zatanna Constantine story that wasn't finished in the first year. And then I didn't read the third one, but it looks like it's got some Harley Quinn, and this Harley Quinn is really fun. So this book is just super duper fun. If you just like want one DC book that isn't in continuity to read, I highly recommend this one. It's also one of 2 all-female Justice League books. Actually, the other one just finished, so it doesn't exist anymore. But that's really cool because that's not that common.
Sweet. Moon Knight number 3. This is on my list. I did not get a chance to read it. I really like the first 2 issues, so I'm excited to get a chance to read this. Guys, follow me.
So cool.
Follow me on Twitter at Aren't We Clever if you want to get an update on that. I will let you guys know what I thought about the book. And this thing, you should follow Scott too because
you should. I'm at BJGN Spicoli because I'm also on a podcast and my name there is Spicoli and the initials of it are BJGN. But
yeah,
I'm out there somewhere.
You should check it out. But yes, Moon Knight number 3 I really enjoyed. It was pretty great. And Moon Knight number 1 and 2 were pretty great. And I'm excited to read number 3. Unfortunately, didn't have time to read it today. I did read Punisher number 2. The last run of Punisher was so good, and the art was so fucking beautiful that I'm highly underwhelmed by this one. I'm not the biggest Steve Dillon fan.
Yeah.
I'm just not. I don't think he does superhero comics well.
It's kind of one of these big secrets that I have that I can't tell people that I have read very little of Preacher because I just have difficulty getting into anything Steve Dillon has drawn at length. I'm not. Sometimes it's really cool.
I like it in some of Ennis's work, like Boys and stuff like that. Like
yeah, The Boys is good.
But it works with that because it is such a harsh world, you know. And every time he draws a superhero book, like his run on Thunderbolts, I was just like, I can't get through this. I just can't. I don't like it. I can't get into it. Batman Rebirth. Why don't you talk about it?
Tom King and Scott Snyder both sort of start their upcoming stories. Yeah, this is really neat because it's a Calendar Man story, and it's like this day by day, the weather is changing as if it were seasons, and they sort of retcon a new power into Calendar Man's mythos where he is constantly like dies and is reborn with the seasons, which is really trippy and weird. But it's also serves the role of reintroducing Duke Thomas for like the 10th time, who is this black kid that Scott Snyder keeps trying to make relevant. He was the main character in We Are Robin, and sort of started the gang of little Robin kids in Gotham. It bothers me that he calls himself Robin because Damian is Robin and Duke is a Robin. But he's going to be Batman's sidekick for Scott Snyder's All-Star Batman.
Yeah, why does this say artist Scott
Yeah, I don't
Snyder?
know. It's not.
It's a
written-
typo.
It's written by Scott Snyder and Tom King. But yeah, Scott Snyder doesn't feel comfortable writing Damian Wayne. Scott Snyder has a young son around Damian's age and cannot get into the mindset of Batman bringing his son along on these missions. He just can't do it. So he gives us Duke Thomas instead. He also gave us Harper Row, and he gave us the 3 Batgirls in Eternal. So Scott Snyder is introducing sidekicks way faster than he can flesh them out. I'm actually a little disappointed because my favorite one was his first one, Harper Row, and she's consistently gotten shat on by other characters being more important than her. And now Duke Thomas is no exception. But this is the second time they've tried to get us to care about a black sidekick in Batman, and so I'm down for that. I really liked Batwing. Nobody else seemed to care about him, but I liked him. And so now we've got Duke instead.
Cool.
So that's the purpose that serves.
All New Wolverine number 9. I did not get a chance to check it out, but I'm a huge fan of All New Wolverine, and I love the first 8 issues.
So like this one's got Old Man Logan in it.
Definitely gonna check it out, and it says The Road to Civil War, so it's a good tie in there. Spider-Man 2099 number 11. Didn't get a chance to check it out. A-Force number 6. Also didn't get a chance to check it out. Oh
A-Force
my
is
god, there was a
ending.
new Deadly Class. They didn't have it at the store.
Oh.
Fuck, I would have read that. Okay, that's going to go on my pull list, guys. Deadly Class is amazing. End of story arc, Die For Me. Conclusion of the freshman finals, and along with the life of another of our crew. Shit.
Poe FX, I would say the answer to your question is yes. This is absolutely a good jumping on point for Batman because Tom King is going to be starting his run, and he hasn't written Batman before, so it'll be the beginning of his story, and that'll be the main Batman series. Scott Snyder will be doing All-Star Batman. That will be mostly, I mean, you will be able to jump on then, but you should also read all the New 52 Batman because Scott Snyder is amazing. There's not a single issue in it that I wouldn't say is at least worth reading. Every arc in it is great. So yeah, read the New 52 Batman. It's super good. I think Scott Snyder is one of the top 3 Batman writers in the history of the character. I know that's a really bold claim, and I stand by it. So yeah, do both.
Old Man Logan number 7.
This book was awesome. It concluded,
Checked it out?
Yeah, it concluded this this Old Man Logan in Alaska storyline, where he went to go hang out with his future wife and protect her, and instead bad things happened.
Okay, well, that's a good setup. How are you? I mean, Jeff Lemire's on it, so...
Yeah, I'm loving this series. I love the Old Man Logan original book. This is really awesome. Lady Deathstrike shows up in it. And it definitely sets up, like, I had this question, you know, after the first like 3 or 4 issues, it was very unclear where this book was going to go. After he had realized he wasn't in the right timeline to affect his future, what does he do now? And the answer is the old Wolverine died. And so now that this Wolverine is back, all of Wolverine's villains, they don't give a shit about the difference, and they're going to be coming for him. And I'm super down with that he's like, I'm going to be chaos. He's really leaning into the Berserker thing, it seems. And
Nice.
It's going to be sweet.
We've got Power Rangers Pink number 1. I picked it up, didn't get a chance to read it. There were so many books coming out this week that I wanted to read, and unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to check it out. But Power Rangers number 1, I've heard really good things about it. A couple people in the chat room were saying they were excited about it. So, I mean, who better than Batgirl and Gotham Academy writer Brendan Fletcher and A-Force and Jim of the Holograms writer Kelly Thompson to bring it to us? Yeah, who better? Yeah. That sounds like a fucking...
Yeah, Brendan Fletcher and Kelly Thompson, I could get down with that. This book, all I know about it is that it had a bunch of variant covers, because I saw them all, and they're all just gorgeous.
Yeah.
Like, the cover work on the Power Rangers books is amazing.
Pick number 1 was really good, says Miss Manface. Well, thank you for that. Yeah, I'm excited to read it. I'll check it out and try to update you guys when I get a chance. Green Arrow Rebirth. Did you get through this one?
Yeah, this one should be called Green Arrow and Black Canary Rebirth.
Nice.
Because that's what it is. It's cool. It's a good little like 1-issue story of Green Arrow and Black Canary taking down some bad guys in Seattle, which is where Green Arrow his headquarters has been for like the last decade or so. And they meet each other, and it's adorable. I was gonna drop Green Arrow come Rebirth, and now I'm like, all right, I'll subscribe because this is what I care about. Oh, and he gets the goatee. The goatee comes back.
Goatee comes
nice.
back. There we go. We're going to go through these last couple really quickly. If you read something, let me know. I'm going to check out Nailbiter 22. Didn't have a chance. There were so many independent comics this week. It was really exciting. I checked out The Goddamned by Jason Aaron and Nowhere Men number 10. Fuck yes, I love Nowhere Men. It's one of my favorite books of all time. It's so good. I love it. Guys, you can check it out. There's only like 2 trades of Nowhere Men to catch up. 10 issues total over the course of like 2 years. So you should check it out, Nowhere Men Number 10, really great. I can't really tell you anything about because everything in that book is a spoiler. I didn't check
Survivor's
out.
Club ended today. I'm finally I've been waiting for that one to end so I could read it all because every time I read an issue, I can't keep track of the things. But this is Lauren Bierkes, who is usually a novelist, but has written some comics. She's doing this badass book about like the main characters all have had some sort of horror movie scenario happen to them. One of them was like your classic Japanese possession thing. One of them was like The Ring, which is also your classic Japanese possession thing. One of them is like a werewolf sort of thing, and they all just are survivors in this like support group who have been through horror things, and then bad things happen to them. It's really neat, and I'm excited to catch up on it. But that's the last issue there.
Sweet. We've got Spider-Women came out today. I need to catch up on that shit. Man, there's just so much stuff. The Goddamn number 4 is really great. The Goddamn follows Cain in a very biblical but really fucked up, brutal, highly graphic, super brutal. I mean, it's Jason Aaron's does violence so well, and this is violence in the biblical era, which is fucking brutal, man.
That's a dude I would like to see write Bloodshot. It's Jason Aaron.
Yes.
Like, super down for Jason Aaron's Bloodshot. 4001 AD number 2 came out.
I read that and I really liked it. The art in that is phenomenal. Clayton Crane does some of the most beautiful artwork I've ever seen. Like it's picturesque. It's also beautiful. This furthers, 4001 AD is its own kind of thing. You could jump on number 1, go right in number 2. It's going to fill you in everywhere. They do event comics really well because it's all enclosed. It's really easy to follow. So you should definitely check it out if you're interested. If I start talking about it, it's just going to give away everything that happened in number 1. So
that's okay. I want to talk because it's not showing up here. There's 2 more Rebirth books that came out today. One of them was Green Lantern's Rebirth, which is all about the 2 newest Green Lanterns. One is Simon Baz, who is the Muslim American. The other one is Jessica Cruz, who was agoraphobic until she got her ring. And that they now will have to be the Lanterns of Earth, and neither of them are really qualified because Jessica just got the ring, and when Simon got the ring, and from then on, crazy shit was going on with Hal, so he hasn't had a chance to actually be a Green Lantern. So Green Lanterns is the book that'll finally have those 2 lanterns in it. The other Rebirth was Superman Rebirth. We know that Superman died last week, so the other Superman has to take his place, and this is sort of about that. And really reassured me in that it's not going to be like, oh, here's Superman and it's fine now. Like this book is more about this Superman meeting the Lana Lang of this Earth, and her initially is like, Clark, you're back, and he's like, I'm sorry, I have super heartbreaking news, and she was like, well, that was mean. And then they are going to be partners and figure out how to save Superman. Well, Superman's like, I'm going to bring Superman back to life, and then basically finds out that that's not possible. And creates a statue in the Fortress of Solitude, and now we've got Super Dad, as Mrs. Manface said. And yeah, so Superman was beautiful. It's Tomasi and Greg Monk, who are just a fantastic pair. I am down for Tomasi's Superman to last for years. He's the last guy who wrote Superman this well, I think, was Grant Morrison in Action Comics. Before that, it had also been a while, maybe like Joe Kelly. But there hasn't been spectacular Superman that recently, and Tomasi's finally bringing it.
Sweet. Well, guys, that's pretty much a lot of the books coming out today. I do have a couple more announcements of things that we should talk about.
Wait, real quick, I want to answer a question, because this is coming up a lot now as people are seeing this cover. Why did the Green Lantern dude have a pistol? This Green Lantern, as I said, he got the ring in the middle, towards the end of Jeff Johns' run. So when he got the ring, Hal and Sinestro were trapped in the Book of Death, but it was Hal's ring and they had to get it back. So basically, he gets his ring, has no time to learn how to use it. He knows how to use a gun because he grew up in Detroit, and a lot of people know how to use guns. So he, Mrs. Manface, before you decide something's done, read the book and figure out what the actual reasoning is. He doesn't know how to use the ring yet. He knows how to use a gun. He hasn't learned yet. He often will make a construct of a gun because it's what he knows how to use. It is symbolic of he is way more a human than a lantern right now. He's more attached to Earth than he is to Oa, and that he has not learned how to use this weapon. He already knows how to use this thing. So the reason why he has a gun is because he's inexperienced, but it's also a really solid tool. If I were a lantern and I needed to make a contract of something to shoot somebody, I would go to a gun because that's the thing we invented to shoot people. But the reason is that he knows how to use one, and also I kind of like that there's at least somebody in comics who don't necessarily grant the premise guns are evil, you know? like, because of Batman, we all have to obey this rule. That's not necessarily fair, and that doesn't resonate with a lot of Americans.
Well, in the comic book world, that gun is still not as powerful as even half of an eye laser beam from Superman. So
that too, like, that gun, he's bringing a water pistol to a super fight.
Yeah.
So
it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, he's not Batman, so he doesn't have to play by Batman's rules.
So guys, couple quick announcements. One of which, head over to Twitter and vote on our poll that we have up right now of what Overwatch character I should paint in Tilt Brush tomorrow. We got our HTC Vive. It came in yesterday. So Tilt Brush tomorrow, we're going to be using our new Vive, and you get to pick what Overwatch character we paint because Twitch Creative and Blizzard and Adobe have all teamed up to do a Twitch Creative contest of the best Overwatch character art. So we're going to be doing Overwatch fan art the next 2 episodes of Full Tilt. So go vote on that, on who you think we should draw, and then join me tomorrow morning for Full Tilt to watch some of that go down. The second of which is that we have a Gleam contest going on right now on Twitter as well. Or not Twitter, but you can find it on our Facebook page. You can find it on Twitter. It's a way to help get the word out about the channel. It's about our new launch of the new look, the new schedule, all that great stuff. So join our Gleam. It gives you a chance to win some sweet Necropolis gear and a bunch of Valiant comic books in support of the new show starting next week. So check that out. The other one is tonight on Honesty Hour at 10 p.m. It will be myself and Malika on the show. It's our 1-year anniversary, and she said she wanted to do it by doing Honesty Hour.
Congratulations. Happy anniversary.
Yeah, thank you. So weird to me that my girlfriend's like, it's our 1-year anniversary. I would like to be on Honesty Hour, and I'm like,
platform to say the things she's been hiding for
maybe
a year.
that's what it is. It'll be interesting. It'll be really
Been
interesting.
holding this shit in for a year.
Yeah,
Have
she's
somebody
like,
ask me these
I
questions.
have so much to talk about, and we could talk about all sorts of stuff about relationships and workaholics and how that works and all that stuff and art and all that. So tune in tonight at 10 p.m. for that, guys. Don't forget that you've got only a couple more hours to affect your standing in the corporate wars. We have released the pre-purchasables for DFA, so remember, everything you purchase from now until 5 p.m. affects how many action points your team gets for your corporation. So check out the pre-purchasable list. Stick around for Corporate Wars tonight, and coming up next is watching paint dry. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
It's been real.
Shut it down, Jim.